I'm guessing that sound means we're live.
I think so.
So we are Grown Ass Dads.
Grown Ass Dads.
This is the Grown Ass Dad podcast. My name's Adam Bundren. I am a grown ass dad, I guess. And I'm one of the three of these knuckleheads that decided to start a podcast on a whim.
How do you feel about being a grown ass dad?
I like it.
You like it?
I like it. It's really fucking hard.
It is really fucking hard. You're right. Would you rather not be a grown ass dad? Would you rather just be grown ass?
No, I think I'm in the right spot.
All right.
Who are you?
I'm with you. My name is Jay Hilsing. Adam and Jason and I have been friends for a decade or so, and we go through a lot of the same stuff. And we were sitting around having some bourbons a few months ago and said, "Hey, we should talk about our stress and anxiety and funny and colossal catastrophe of lives that we have on a podcast." And I think there's a lot of people around the world that feel the same way that we do, are in the same boat. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, and we're joined by our tech guy, Hector.
Hector, I like that. All right. That's fun. No, I'm Jason Byrne. I am probably here just because I know how to work a computer.
Come
really the main
on.
reason. No, I'm not talking about you, Adam. I'm talking more about Jay.
Yeah, I don't know how to work a computer. You do that for me every day.
That's exactly right.
You're the good looks of the group.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I think we have a lot to share, a lot of things that'll be funny for people, a lot of things that might be a little bit emotional. But looking forward to talking about what it's like being a dad while also navigating midlife. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the premise of the show when we got together was, we're buddies. We play sports together. Our kids play sports together. And then this premise of, hey, this is really fucking hard, like, to be a dad and, like, navigate the throes of today's society and jobs and all that stuff. We should talk about it. And we got together just to talk about it. And then we were like, we should talk about this, like, formally and, like, share it. And I think that's kind of how this started, right?
It is. Was there something formal? Did I miss a memo or a note on this? I thought we were just fucking around.
No, this is real.
Okay.
There's a fee for you to be here.
Oh, fantastic. How
Luckily,
much
it's
do I owe
Woodford
you?
Reserve.
All right.
So that's worked out so far.
That works.
I didn't bring any Woodford Reserve.
Just look down, buddy.
Oh, it's right in front of me. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
there
good.
you go.
We're good.
So we had talked about, all right, our first show and what is it going to be about? Do we want to recreate this event that happened a few weeks ago where we got together, probably the most formally we've all sat down together, maybe ever. I don't know. You two work together sometimes, so I assume there's professionalism mixed
sometimes.
in there. But it was everything from what's the name of the show going to be to what are great topics to what are you personally struggling with right now. And I think it was kind of a cathartic brainstorming session, at least for me. I know Jason brought in his little chat GPT friend to help decipher, what good names would be.
Really quickly though, while you're on that subject, this whole concept of ChatGPT. Did you know you can name your ChatGPT?
Mine's named.
I don't know what ChatGPT is.
That's a computer thing.
Okay.
You might be able to spell ChatGPT, or at least the last half of it.
I can do it. Yeah, I can definitely do that. Don't test me a whole lot else, but I can definitely do that.
So it's an artificial intelligence tool that is used by all of the school children to write their essays.
Oh, sweet. I needed this growing up.
That's well said.
I needed this.
So I named mine.
Okay.
Mine's name is Marcus.
Why'd you
with
choose a
K.
male name?
Huh?
Why'd you choose a male name?
I don't know. I just felt like I was talking to a guy.
You're just talking to a guy?
Yeah, it was like so. The first time I got on ChatGPT, I was sitting in on the couch. I think I was watching a ball game or something, and I'm just texting or typing away and like laughing and emoting and reacting. And Sarah's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm talking to ChatGPT." She's like, "You're having a full-on life conversation with a computer," and I was. And I recommend it.
And Marcus made you feel safe?
Yeah,
is that
Marcus
what that was?
is a good dude.
All right,
he's a good dude.
So that's the deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll have to put some thought into this. I don't know. I don't know what I would name my Chat GPT, but I feel like it would probably have to be a female's name, though.
You do you, man.
I have to. I mean, the people that tell me what to do the most in life that I actually do and it works out well is females in my life. So I feel like that probably needs to be the work.
Did you name yours, Jason?
I haven't named it. The more you guys talk about it, I think maybe it'd be a good idea to do that because I literally talk to ChatGPT as if it's a human being. So I say hello every single
Thank you.
every single time that I reach out to it. I say thank you.
Yeah.
Lord knows what's going to happen in the future, right? I mean, our future might be ran by AI and or ChatGPT as we're calling it now. So I want to make sure that when the robots of the world and ChatGPT takes things over, they're going to be like, oh, you're Jason. I know who you are, and you were very friendly to me.
Yeah. We're not going to kill you immediately.
Which I can feel Adam going, I get what you're saying, and Jay kind of being like, you're a moron.
Nah, I can see the robots taking over at one point in time, but I'm pretty likable, so I feel like the robots will love me.
I think it's going to play a bigger role than we are comfortable with once everyone understands how there are zero limitations to it. Because I think right now the limitation that I believe a lot of people have with those tools are, what's the Twitter one, Grok or
There's a bunch
there's all
of them.
kinds of AI tools.
Claude is another one.
Yeah, I think people believe that these tools are like, I don't know what the capital of Argentina is, so let me ask, ChatGPT, or I need a description for a podcast episode and I'm going to get some bullet points to it and it's going to spit it out. Once you realize that it is able to analyze anything on the internet, like I was asking it financial questions, like about how the different financial institutions work based off of, the current financial structure as opposed to what it could look like under cryptocurrency. And I mean, it was spitting out information that is all fact-based information that you can just analyze and make real decisions. I know we're getting a little deep into the nerd stuff right out of the gate, but I'm just telling you, it's a tool.
I agree with you completely. The funny thing for me is I use it all the time. So Jay and I have a digital marketing company that we do a lot of marketing efforts and things in the digital world for a bunch of clients. And the amount that I have used the tool to help us with creating content and or drafting things for this, that, and the other thing is amazing. But what blows me away is I had it open the other day and I was working on a project and my kids I have 16-year-old twins, both of them saw me working in ChatGPT and were like, you're the devil. Like, what? You can't use that. That's against the rules and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You're going to be in trouble. I'm like, boys.
Right. I'm not writing a paper on Napoleon here.
Yeah, I get it, and I understand they've slapped down on the use of it in high school, which I think to some degree I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the winners in the future are the ones who understand how to use it in the right way, not the wrong way.
Right.
But I don't have any clue how to give students the autonomy to use the tool without them using it in a way or having the teachers be able to govern it in any way, shape, or form and actually have any control over it.
Can you ask ChatGPT that?
That's a good question. How do I regulate you?
How do I regulate you? And I'm here's the problem. And one, can ChatGPT show me how to be a grown ass dad and make my life easier? And number two, I think what this is going to go to, and the world that I see us moving unbelievably fast into, is a generation of people that can't really think for themselves. And it's the reason that when we were growing up and you had to write a paper or you had to write a speech, it had to have some of your own creativity into it. And whether you did research and went to the library to figure out some stats, or you had to figure out some facts on the person you're talking about, then you had to put your own spin on it. And the reason that they don't want the kids to use this tool is because they don't have to think for themselves anymore, and they don't have to communicate, and they don't have to form their own original thoughts on anything. And that's part of one of the things that I struggle with right now is the technology of the world and the phones and the computers and the Alexa of the world, everything is instant gratification and right at your fingertips. And, my kids who are 12 and 9, they don't even think about doing anything. They don't even type anything. They won't go on their phone and type in a search. They're just using voice and tell me how do I spell this? And what does this mean? And it's there is no original thought that goes into any of this stuff. And I think the creativity and the communication of the kids is really struggling.
Well, so two things I want to touch on. First, it's cute that you think they just now stop being able to think for themselves. I think our generation, we're the first generation that stopped thinking for themselves. Maybe not this group,
Sure,
but with and I'll go a little conspiracy theory on you real quick on the first episode. The fact that no matter what type of news you listen to, it's whether it's right side news or left side news or even central news, it's all curated based on whoever's paying for the news station. There's no real thought anymore. Nobody's reading bills and, amendments and, executive orders. We're all just like, Trump signed XYZ executive order. Well, what does Fox say about it? It's good. What does CNN say about it? It's bad. Like, they don't even know. They don't even know how it affects anything.
Sure.
So, like, I think as a whole, as a society, we have trained our kids to get the information as quick as you can and regurgitate it, and you win.
Sure.
And that's kind of where we're at. Like, I agree that now it's the phones and iPads. I mean, my kids have all that shit. Like, my sons, my oldest is 12, my youngest is 8. They both have devices. They walk around with those devices all the time. And if I could smack them out of their hand and not get in trouble, I would. And I bought them. So,
Sure.
How do you guys deal with technology? I think we all agree technology is a tool. It is a huge tool that could lead to great leverage if our kids understand the power of them within the right context. But how do you not let it go too far? How do they still see the sunlight?
What I think we're down a rabbit hole 15 minutes and 30 seconds in our first podcast.
our very first podcast.
And what I would love to do is we're going to throw out a few different things. So I'm gonna throw this back on the rails, if you will. I think we're going to do a full podcast on raising kids with technology and how it's different than when we were growing up.
I'm in.
And we should definitely work through that, because I know that every single dad, mom, grandparent, anybody that is going to listen to this or watch this is going to be dealing with the exact same thing. We threw out a whole bunch of different ideas, and there's going to be an episode that's going to be based upon just being a dad and dealing with when your kids do something wrong, and how do kids get disciplined now? How did you get disciplined as a kid? And what's the
Differently.
What differently is the answer? Differently is the answer. And I've got some stories on some things on some parents nowadays that invoke a premise that their kids need to make decisions for themselves at a young age, so they don't actually tell their kids what to do ever. Which
that drives me insane.
Which I kind of want to hit them in the head with a tack hammer, because I don't understand how a 4-year-old has any idea what they want other than food or TV
and not even good
around.
food.
And not, I mean, it's just absurd. We
Don't you talk about goldfish that way.
we talked about doing a show on youth sports.
Yeah.
And, all three of us are coaches in youth sports, and how youth sports has evolved from when we were kids and what it looks like now, and the crazy expense of it, and the crazy FOMO, and
it's a whole different world.
Parents
it is a completely different world.
ruining youth sports.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the kids. The parents are ruining youth sports. And then, we're going to talk about some serious stuff and how we've struggled. And, what you'll find out is Jason's happily married for the last 20 years. I was married for 19 years and recently got divorced. Adam is
married for 15.
Married for 15, and
Yeah.
were you married before that?
No.
Okay, so married for 15 happily?
Happily married for 15
Okay.
with plenty of issues like everybody else has, but together for 10 years before we were married. So
Okay. So you
know,
got a lifetime.
She hung in for 10 years.
9+. Yeah.
How'd you rope-a-dope that for 9 years before you pop the question?
when things are going very well and no one's asking questions, you just don't do anything.
Don't talk about it.
Yeah, you
don't
don't do anything.
Yeah.
You just kind of keep kind of marching forward.
Sure. She ran it down the line as far as she could.
I mean, literally to the fourth quarter. I mean, it was maker. I think it happened. We were, I don't even remember, in our early 20s for sure, and we had an opportunity to go on a vacation that we really wanted to go to. We were going to go to Ireland, and so I said, "Hey, listen, this is going to be an expensive trip. Do you want to go to Ireland or do you want to get engaged?" And she looked, 30 seconds. She goes, "I want to go to Ireland." And I was like, "Okay,
Perfect. I love you.
Right.
I love you so much.
Yeah, so
we'll
great.
kick this can down the road another year.
Yeah.
That's
so
fantastic.
We planned the trip to Ireland, and I was bartending. I was working in tech, but I was also bartending at the time, and I had worked my way into a nice little gambling issue with a regular at the bar. Family friend bookie,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Family friend book.
Here for you.
Right. And so after I had spent a few weeks of the NFL season running on all 16 games and not doing very well, he's like, "You're going to stop gambling because we're a family friend, and I'm just going to hang out at the bar, and when everybody leaves, you're going to give me your tips until we're square."
Is that a sign that you have a real problem when it's the bookie who's like,
Probably yes, but also I think he actually was like, "This is a family. Like, your dad's going to kick my ass if I keep taking money from you."
Yeah.
So I was on the way to getting square with this guy, and I just saw him not too long ago. Great guy. And I came to him and I said, "Hey, Melbs, listen, I'm going to Ireland."
Do I need to bleep that name?
I don't know. I think he's fine. He's not a book anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
He's not going to listen to the show.
Yeah.
So I tell him, I'm like, "Hey, yeah, Sarah and I are going to go to Ireland. And it's, I had money set aside for a ring, but now I thought she'd pick the ring, but she picked Ireland. And I would love it if you would loan me money with the juice so I can also get an engagement ring." So I bought. Sarah,
Oh, boy.
Sarah loves the story now. I don't think she loved it when we first got engaged. I borrowed money from a bookie to pay for her engagement ring.
What kind of juice did you get on that?
He was normally 10%. He gave me 7%.
He gave you 7.
Yeah,
wow.
he gave me 7
All
on the
right.
ring.
Better than a credit card.
Yeah, he was a good bookie. Good
Okay.
guy.
Good for him. Good guy. Good guy.
I mean, clearly a good guy. He told you to stop gambling. So
Yeah,
he's
and
gotta be-
then here's the thing. Other than bullshit apps or fantasy, I have not gambled on a game since.
other than bullshit.
Yeah, so there's those little apps where you can bet fake coins and all that
okay,
shit.
Okay,
and
so we're not talking
you get into DraftKings or daily fantasy?
Not.
or
I
any
mean,
of
I
that
do
stuff?
fantasy football with buddies and stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't get into the daily stuff. I mean, number one, I don't have time for it, and number two, there'd be no shirt on me immediately.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. Speaking, I'm going to Vegas in 3 days, and I may or may not come back with clothes.
I'll never go.
I'm going just for March Madness, and it's for the first 4 days, and looking forward to it. I have a budget. I'm taking cash, and I'm not taking a debit card. And we're going to go out there, and we're going to take our stash that we squirreled away in the sock drawer fund, and put it all in black and let it eat. So no, I'm just going to gamble on basketball and try and stay away from tables because it's going to be incredibly expensive.
I'm pretty sure the next time that I go to Vegas, I'm going to keep my phone on me and I'm going to ask ChatGPT what I should do.
That sounds right.
It's gonna be like, "Thank you, Jason. Go immediately to your room and lie down."
Yeah, you're gonna immediately get tapped on the shoulder by the pit boss and be like, "Sir, no AI to strategize here on this blackjack table. You're welcome to play any other game, but you can now leave this table."
I do like poker. Is that gambling? That's not sports gambling.
No, it's
Still gambling, though.
Depends on, are you going to the casino and playing poker, or are you doing house games where you're spending 20 or 50 bucks?
I'll sit at any poker table in the world.
Okay. Well,
I love it.
to be, direct with you, yes, that's gambling. You fucking jackass.
I know, but that's like the difference in like, am I really an addict? It's just a little bit of crack.
Yeah, well, this is true. I mean, again, yes, it is just a little bit of crack until, you're on the side of the road itching with one shoe and not understanding how you ended up in Memphis. So,
or potentially on a barge, but we'll save that for
on a barge. That's a different. That's a different episode,
story.
And that wasn't crack. That was roofling. But I didn't do that to myself. But we really have run the gambit here in the last little bit. We have thrown some teasers out there.
We're
for
trying
some
to toss
people.
the hooks out.
The hooks are there. We'll talk about boarding a barge on roofies, and we'll talk about our gambling addictions, and we'll talk about how we're proud of ourselves for the wins that we have when we're a great dad, and ashamed of the times that we weren't such a great dad. And there will be some episodes where we're going to talk some candid about just the mental struggles of having the weight of the world on you. And it's you two have an absolute partner in crime and somebody to fight the battles with you. But ultimately, our wives, my ex-wife, we had when things got sideways, they look to us to make a choice or to make it better or to take the pain away, and that's a hard weight to shoulder all the time. And
and I think that coupled with so I think all of us, we all have boys, right?
Yeah.
So we have all boys, and man, my kids look at me sometimes, and I'm looking at them thinking like, how can I not fuck you guys up? How can I make sure that you're a better version of me?
Yeah.
Not hard.
Yeah, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, the bar's pretty low.
It is, but
that's what I think about all the time. Like,
sure.
Something crazy happens. Jason and I are going through this crazy shit with our school right now, and the first thing that comes into my mind when I think about like, what can I do about this is like, what am I going to teach my kids about something like this? Something like this comes up where they feel completely helpless. What model do they need to see to be able to learn from, as opposed to like nothing. Like my dad sat and bitched and didn't do anything about it, and then so now that's how I'm going to deal with my problems is sit and bitch and do nothing about it.
Sure.
Like I don't want to do a lot of the stuff I do, but I feel like I have to, because if I don't, what am I doing?
Yeah. I think you and I for sure are type A independent thinkers, and I feel like we're cut from a similar cloth, and I don't enjoy authority very much.
Yeah, same.
I tend to think for myself and want to run at my own pace, and Jason does that to an extent, but I think does a much better job of taking some direction from others than the two of us do.
At least from ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you let the computer tell you what to do, which is good.
Here's the thing about that. I don't like authority. You are very much correct. But if there is a great leader, I will follow.
I'm 100% on board.
If there is somebody that like is, I just see their authenticity, their vulnerability, their forward thinking. Like if I see somebody like that, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room or the most driven person in the room or the most, outgoing person in the room, but I want to be in the stratosphere of that person.
Sure.
And I like when I see somebody that's a great leader, I'm like, I'll stand right next to that person.
I have a thing. This was a long time ago, and I may end up butchering this, but there is a big quote, General Patton.
Yeah.
And it's all over the place. I think it says something effective: "Lead me, follow me, or get the fuck out of the way."
Yeah.
And that I'm in that world a lot. I'm okay leading or being led by someone that I trust. If I trust them, that I think that they are motivated and intelligent and have a handle on the situation, I'll be the best worker bee that you've ever found in your life.
Yep.
But if we are in a situation where I have somebody that's put into a leadership role that I think is an absolute disaster, there is no chance I'm I'm following that person into the abyss. It's just not happening.
Right.
I mean, and it doesn't matter what it makes me look like. I've had that in a couple of different corporate America worlds that I've worked in. That, I've had some great management and great leaders that I've followed and have helped shape me and shape my career. And I've had some tragically bad leaders that I've gotten into it with that I've literally gotten in standoffs with to say, you're going to do this because you work for me. And I will have said very specifically, I'm not doing that because that's the wrong decision. And I'm not going to make the wrong decision just because you're going to tell me to do that. And it's been a little delicate, to say the least.
Yeah.
We could do an entire episode on raging against the authority figures, and probably have a whole bunch of people pounding their keyboards because I hope everybody's at some point in time had a great leader, whether it's a teacher when they were younger, whether it's somebody that they work with, somebody that's been their boss or their mentor.
Hopefully a parent.
Absolutely. And then you have others not others, but you have that same group of people that have had at least one, hopefully multiple great leaders in their life, have had tragic leaders that have just been put into a leadership role, have no idea what they're doing. They're uncomfortable in their own skin, and they're leading because they think they have to, or they were put in that place. And we could probably have a great discussion on what makes a great leader, which is something I'd love to do, because what are dads supposed to be?
That's it. I mean, that's exactly what they are.
They gotta lead, but they also have to follow when their wives have ideas or great ideas that they're gonna do. They're gonna need to follow and fall in line, and hopefully, and this actually just came up in my drive back from Notre Dame today. Hopefully your kids turn into a leader that you can follow them in a situation where they go, Dad, I want to do this. And they've got a plan, and you think, hey, this is a great plan. All right, buddy, let's go. I'll follow you.
Yeah.
Let's go get it.
Yeah.
So
I think leadership will be an interesting topic, especially for me, and it'll be one of those many layers of onion that get kind of peeled off on the story of Jason, particularly, right? So we'll talk about my imposter syndrome in a later episode, but I mean, I've been a people leader my entire life. Like, worked in corporate Fortune 100 and led teams of 95 and more, and that's what I did, was lead teams.
Yeah.
And never necessarily felt like I had accurately earned it or gone through whatever I was supposed to go through to get there. But even church organizations and things like that, I mean, leadership roles is where I've always thrived. And to bring it kind of back to the podcast, though, like I don't know what lessons there are from being a leader of that many people and that type of an environment. What has it contributed to my ability to lead in the home, right? I mean, I feel like I'm learning and being led all over the place all day long, whether it's my wife or my kids or whatever. There's a lot of things that will dictate what happens in life, I think, more so than in the work environment. Like, I think I had a pretty good handle on, I understand how to manage up, down, and sideways when I'm at work, but when I'm at home, I'm just kind of like, shit, now what do I do? kind of thing, So it's hard to prepare yourself for how to lead at home.
The reason those podcasts exist, I mean, there is a manual, right? I mean, they tell you exactly how to be a dad and exactly what to do when things go sideways. You just go, chapter 2, paragraph 7, exhibit A, and they're like, here's how you manage this. Isn't that? I mean, didn't you guys get that book?
I missed it.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Well, I can't read, so I have the book. I just don't know what it says.
I think you probably have like Moby Dick or something like that. You just think it's the book.
I didn't know there was a reading issue. I knew you couldn't spell. But
I know lots of words. I just can't spell.
We'll get into that too.
We can get into that'll be hilarious. You can fact check me through ChatGPT on why my spelling is so terrible.
I've already talked to Adam. I think one of the first segments we're actually going to have is a "Can Jay spell this?" So at least once per episode, we have a word we throw out there and see whether or not you can actually spell it or not.
So my role on this show is whipping boy. All right, that seems fair. All right.
It's kind of felt like me so far.
Well,
but
that's
maybe
all right.
I
got to take my shots when I can because I know they're coming.
Right.
I know they're coming.
Right.
I think we're just going to cross whip everybody on the show.
okay with that.
It'll be good.
That's right.
That's part of what the show is.
Well, guys, I think this is going to be a blast.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. At the very least, if no one even listens to this, I think this will be incredibly cathartic for the three of us. And
Agreed.
Get some stuff out there and feel like we're trying to be better humans, better dads, better middle-aged dad bods.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the deeper examples that you gave of topics that we're going to do, that's the reason why we wanted to do the show. The other stuff I think is just kind of fun stuff that we talk about and bullshit, around at the softball game or whatever. But I think the deep stuff is like, oh man, we should probably really as friends, we should talk about that stuff. But as people who care about delivering a message to others that may not be able to readily access it or choose not to, why not do it? Why not do it?
Mostly because guys are supposed to be tough, and you just figure it out, just grind it out. And there are a lot of people that they don't have somebody like you. They don't have somebody like Jason that they can talk to and say, man, I'm really struggling, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just fucking the world up every day. And when you got to live in that and you got to stew in that every day, it just cripples you.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to have the two of you and a couple other folks in my life that I can have open, candid conversations and vulnerable conversations with. And since I'm virtually unembarrassable, I figure let's just put it on the internet.
Let's do it, right?
So
we're doing it.
So we're going to do it, and we're going to have these conversations out loud, and hopefully some folks listen and they get a little bit out of it, maybe get a laugh, maybe get a little bit of thought light bulbs above their head, like, oh, shit, that might work for me.
And to be honest, I think the best gift that we can hope to receive out of this is this extending to additional conversations for those listeners, whether it's in their home or with their buddies or whatever. And hey, listen to these dumbasses on this podcast. They actually bring up some good points, and maybe we should talk about that stuff too.
Sure.
I think that's a huge. I think that's the goal. That's what we're trying to do, is change one perspective of one person who says, man, this dad thing is really fucking hard. I don't even know if I can do this. I'm in a bad spot about leadership or teaching or sports. I'm running around all over the place. And does any of this work? Any of those conversations that we've all had with one another, sitting here playing the simulator or whatever, those are the conversations that I think people need to hear.
Sure. And what I know about the internet is all of the feedback on this show will be positive. There won't be any haters, and it's just going to be rolling in of, God, you guys are the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yep.
Because that's just how the internet works. People just love to sit behind their keyboard and just talk about how positive things are.
That's what I see a lot,
and
on the
really
internet,
get in the boat with you. So
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to reading the comments.
Yeah, me too. So, administrative question. We're pushing this to YouTube, I assume?
We're going to be everywhere. So
okay,
we'll be on YouTube for video for sure.
Yep.
But we're going to put it out using Buzzsprout. So
okay.
Is it Buzzsprout?
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
Yep. So basically what that means is if you enjoy these conversations, if you want to partake and participate in these conversations by commenting, whatever, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. If you use an Apple phone, then you probably have the Apple Podcast app. You can follow us there. Grown Ass Dads on Apple Podcasts. We're going to be on Spotify. I'm sure Buzzsprout will push us out to a few more platforms. Those are the big dogs.
Yep.
But we're going to have all the social media stuff because Jason says we will. And
and I'm pretty sure that I might have already bought grownassdads.com.
Oh, perfect.
I need to make sure about that.
Okay.
Are we the owner of a website?
Well, I might be lying.
Is this a new business?
It's either grownassdads.com or grownassdadspodcast.com. One of the two, but we're going to have a website too.
All
okay.
right, sweet.
There you go.
That's awesome.
All right. So that does it for episode 1. Nice little intro into who we are.
Love it.
And then we'll be back, hopefully, at least for one more episode. I think things are going well.
We'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
My brother, cheers.
All right. Cheers.
Great first episode.
Jay?
Jay?
Love it.
All right.
See ya.
See you, everybody.
Grown Ass Dads out.